"Oh, you need to run for president." So I did, and so the rest is history. I mean, I got elected that first time, and I kept running until I got tired, and said, "I'm tired. I've done it 10 years. Y'all need to find somebody else." One of the things which I held on to that I was pretty proud of that was lost right after I stepped down was parity with the police. The police were foolish in that they didn't realize, how much of a benefit to them it was to have us to have pay parity with them. Now, it wasn't true parity in that we didn't have, the same pay for the same rank. I mean, we had to take one more promotional test to get to the same place that they did and so forth. But there were certain ranks where the pay was similar or was, the same. In any case, make a long story short, I maintained that, and, 2 weeks after I wasn't president anymore, they got rid of it. Simply because the president didn't go to the meeting, and whenever they said, "Oh, well, the firefighters are okay with this," instead of him being there to say, "No, we're not," they got rid of it.
Looking back on your career, is there anything that you would have done different?
Yeah. I don't regret being the time that I spent in as the association president at all. But what I should have done, the first time I was at the last rank that I fought fire. Above me, it was purely administrative. You'd sit in a car and command a fire and so forth, but you didn't fight fire anymore. And the first time an opening, there was only 7 battalion chiefs, in the city. And so the openings weren't as frequent as they were for the other ranks. And the first opening came available. I'd only been a captain for 5 years, and I was 33. And I said, "Man, I don't want to ride the chief's car for another 30 years before I can retire, and not fight fire anymore." I took the test, but I didn't study for it. Okay, and I still came out number 3, and I was only 3 points behind the guy that made number 2 without even studying. Had I studied, now the guy that made number 1, he had studied his rear off and he's plenty sharp. But I think had I studied, I could have beat the number 2 guy. And I would have been a battalion chief, another $600 a month, the rest of my career, that next 30 years plus, probably wouldn't have hurt myself as much. I wouldn't have been able to do the union stuff. I'd already been president for a couple of years, but still, it would have changed my career tremendously. I mean, who knows? I mean, where I could have gone from there, because nowadays some of the guys that were battalion chiefs, they're assistant chiefs and so forth. So who knows? But I regret that. It might have saved my body. Definitely would have been more money.
Oh, yeah,
and that's always good.
That's nice. Well, now talk a little bit about Karen and how she's helped your career.
Well, I tell you what, especially while I was president of the association, people would sit there, and my wife she's smart. She's plenty smart. And she's not just somebody who, a little Miss Housewife and does nothing. She's plenty smart gal. And was very easy to see everything and the reasoning, why that I had the opinions that I did. She could see it right there along. I mean, we talked our entire married life, and I married her. I got on the fire department in April of 79 and married her in March of 80. Okay, so she's been there almost as long as I was. Well, now longer since since I retired. But in any case, but she was there. Number one, she supported me, as I said, whenever I was going to school. Okay. Number two, she took care of the house and everything while I was gone every third day, because firemen work 24 and we're off 48, but that 24 hours you're gone, totally gone. You don't come home, and of course I lived in Irving, and so that made it a little bit easier. If it was something really bad, then I might be able to take the engine or the ambulance if I was in district. If I was out of district, if I was up on the north end of town, You know, she had to deal with whatever emergency. Okay, and she did an excellent job taking care of the household, the kids, you know, and all of that while I was there. So she was a support there. Plus, then whenever I got into, you know, into the association and was doing that, she was every bit as vocal as I was, if not more so. Now, you know, we'd have people that would think that she was parroting something that or she was saying something for me. I'm telling you, that girl has her own opinions, and they're very well founded. She doesn't just sit there and draw conclusions and have opinions that are based on nothing. She's, like I said, pretty sharp, and so they need to listen to her probably more than me.
Well, how many of your kids went into the fire department?
My youngest son followed me. You know, my others are in IT and you know, information technology, and they're both pretty successful. But my youngest son, he got on the fire department in 2008, and he stayed a firefighter so far. But I mean, part of it was he didn't want to go to paramedic school, but now they made him go to paramedic school. So I'm thinking he'll go ahead and promote up now because now.
Well, is there anything you would like to say to the general public about your career in the fire department, and or what kids might want or need to know?
Well, I can tell you, number one, you need to know as much as you can. If you're a kid looking to get into fire service, learn as much as you can about everything, because like I said, we had to learn about everything. It's a wide variety of things, all the way from medical to water. You say, water, what's so big about water? Hydraulics is a science. And but you also have to know about dealing with people and communicating with people, and you know, and human nature and how to deal with that, especially if you want to promote up. But the fire service is not like it used to be. Whenever I got on the fire department, it was rare that we didn't sleep most of the night. Nowadays, it's rare that you do ever sleep all night long. Okay, and nowadays the guys are going pretty much the entire 24 hours worth of time. They'll get a little bit of downtime. You know, they might catch a meal, but I can't tell you how many meals we left on the table and it got cold because we had to go out on a call. And you might be gone, you know, 30 minutes. You might be gone the rest of the shift. You never knew. Okay, the guys now in Irving has gone from a suburban city to an urban city, and actually the staffing is still that of a suburb. And the citizens need to recognize they're going to have to start investing more in their fire department, because we're having more and more fires. We're having more and more accidents. We've got 5 major highways going through this city. Okay? And that keeps us busy, just the accidents alone. Then you start talking about the fires, and then 70% of our calls are medical. We've gone, whenever I was on the ambulance, we had 3 ambulances in town, and we'd average 6 to 8 runs a shift. Nowadays, okay, they've got 10 ambulances in town, and they average 8 to 10, sometimes 12 runs a shift. Those guys are running their wheels off. Now, they do it different. You don't have the same 2 guys assigned. You've got 2 guys assigned, but the engine company that's at that house, they'll also switch those people off so they're not having to ride every single shift on the ambulance. That makes it a little bit better, you know. But you need that entire 48 hours to recoup. You know, whenever I got on, we had guys that went off and did carpenter work on their days off and plumbing, and they don't do that anymore. Okay, because they're so tired, they go home and go to bed. You know, I mean, there's a few guys that have part-time jobs, but it's something they can do, like mowing lawns or something, you know, where they don't have to be there, you know, because they don't have a homeowner or a contractor that's sitting there expecting them to be there, you know, on those 2 days that they're not at the fire station. And in any case, so it's changed. Your taxpayer dollars are well spent for your fire service. Okay, that's probably the best thing that I can say to the public, to let them know, you know, about the fire department. They're highly motivated. The Irving Fire Department is highly professional. Little known fact, we've been rated the 2nd best fire department in the nation. You know,
Really?
and that's pretty good. In Texas, we were the very first one to get an ISO 1 rating. Okay, that's pretty good. You know, it's very beneficial to your insurance. It lowers your homeowner's insurance rates.
Wow.
Okay, it lowers business insurance rates. You know, so we've got an excellent response time in Irving. You know, 3 to 5 minutes is excellent. You've got a lot of cities, you know, where 5 minutes is they're lucky to get there in 5 minutes. And most places we can get 3 to 5 minutes. You know, now if you've got somebody out on a call and somebody calls right next to where they would be, then it's not necessarily that way. And you know, you're going to have those incidents, but for the most part, you know, you're very well protected in the city of Irving. I am very proud of the Irving Fire Department and the fact that I was able to get to a point I could retire from it.
Right. There you go. Okay, well, thanks, you.
Well, you're welcome, buddy.
Thanks for your service as a Marine.
Yeah, my son says, you know, Dad, you spent 38 and a half years on the fire department and 3 years in the Marine Corps, and you're more proud of the Marine Corps. Why is that? I said, son, you just had to stand on those little yellow footprints. You know, one of the questions that you didn't ask was about the physical shape.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I always, like I said, kept in shape. And whenever I first got on, a lot of the old guys didn't do it. I did. I exercised. And had I not been in that good a shape, number one, the doctor said whenever I caught that pericarditis that it might have killed me.
Yeah.
Because my heart was literally that big, filled with fluid.
Ooh.
You know. But number two, nowadays they all stay in shape. About 92 or so, they started every year taking a mandatory physical fitness test that's a tough test. It's every bit as tough as any of the training I went through in the Marine Corps. And so all of your firefighters are, you know, and yeah, I took it right up until the time I retired, and it was tough. But I was able to do it, you know, and the guys that can't do it, they put them off on administrative duty. If 3 times they don't pass that test, they're gone.
Oh.
You know, so different standards nowadays. They're physically fit too.
All right, thanks, Kenneth.